I think we've all been a negative Nancy or a negative Danny or something at some point with regards to our lives. And today I'm going to be talking about negativity and your fitness goals. What is up, people? Jean Carlos here with the Total Body Training Podcast, where I help people get lean, gain muscle, and build some damn confidence. And let's go ahead and jump into why negativity will negatively impact your fitness goals. I'm talking from personal experience here. I have to say that growing up, I was not the most positive person. And that negativity never serviced or helped me. It always held me back. And here today, I'm going to share with you a few different ways to think about negativity with regards to your fitness goals. And we're going to start off with talking about your own thoughts, and then we're going to move on to talking about how other people's thoughts can affect you. So let's go ahead and get started. So your own thoughts. All right, now here are some things that I've noticed about myself or about other people when it comes to their fitness goals, and this is it. So let's go ahead and start off. I'm just going through bullet points. Downing yourself. This one's really common. So sometimes this one's tricky because maybe you've been living for several years and you've been downing yourself through the process. So maybe you are downing your own capability or your own ability to get yourself out of your situation. So maybe you've gained a few pounds, and in the process of saying it, you think things like, maybe I'm just like this, maybe I'm just built this way, or maybe I can never lose this weight, or maybe I'm just not meant to do it. Maybe I'm not that kind of person, not the kind of person who could do that, right? And in the process of downing yourself and putting yourself down, you are not being the kind of person that we would like to be. If you want to improve your life, it's really up to you to figure out the way to do it. And downing yourself and putting yourself down or saying that you're calling yourself names, that's something that I've seen. So people will say really ugly things about themselves. Maybe somebody's got a little bit more to love, right? And they call themselves, I hope I don't offend any women, but I work with women, and I've heard women say things like this. Man, I'm just a fat bitch, right? I've heard people say things like that, and I'm just quoting. I'm not calling anybody that name. Don't take this out of context. This is things that I've heard people say. I look like a pregnant cow, like all this stuff. And some of that's like kind of funny, and we all laugh in like our classes when someone says that. But hidden in there, if you're calling yourself things like that and you're constantly bringing that up, and you can start to identify as whatever that thing is. No, you're not a fat cow or a fat bitch. You're a person who gains some weight and maybe needs to lose some. And that's why we're here to work on it. And telling yourself that in the process really isn't going to help you. Now, being real with yourself, right, will. So I think identifying and saying, hey, I do need to lose some pounds is different than you creating this narrative of I am a fat person, or I am a person who's overweight, or I am a fat B word, right? Any of that stuff. So that's something that you're going to need to do. Here's another negative way of thinking, and it's false expectations. I see this a lot, and oftentimes people come in. Maybe I've had a client who's been working with me who just walks in, and they haven't worked out in like 20 something years. They're in their 40s and they haven't worked out since they were in high school when they did cheerleading or they did volleyball or baseball, whatever, softball, whatever the case might be. So they've gained some weight and they're very out of shape. But in their heads, they're not as out of shape as the out of shape that they're about to figure out that they are. So I will try to ease them in, but in the process of doing it, what they don't realize is that they've lost a lot of their motor skills, general feeling or understanding of their body, and they're somewhat aware of it, but they're painfully aware of it when they see someone else doing lunges or doing squats to depth or doing lunges really kind of gracefully, or someone else picking up heavy weight. And they suddenly feel self-conscious, and they come in there and you get this feeling through the process that they think that they should be able to keep up with the Joneses. I like to say keep up with the Garcias because we're in Texas. Keep up with the Garcias, the other people that they're around. And so they've got this false expectation for what they're supposed to get, right? And so they look around and like, like I'm supposed to be like that. Why am I not that way? Why am I not doing that? And I literally see people do this on their face. So they'll be working out and they will be like maybe trying to learn how to balance themselves when they're squatting. And they'll be shaking their heads. No. Doing things like that. And, can I be frank? Like, that's something that you see a little kid do. When a little kid isn't getting their way, I'm being really blunt. I don't feel like sugarcoating this. When a child does not get its way, what does it do? It whimpers, it stammers, it acts like it's entitled to something. And oftentimes when you're doing that and you're just like, no, I can't do that. That's all you're doing is you're showing that you have a false expectation and a sense of entitlement about what you deserve. And oftentimes, those same people who do that kind of thing, and this isn't always the norm, but those same people who feel that way come up to me afterwards, and one of two things either happens. There's two camps of people. One person sees it as a challenge for themselves, and they say, I'm going to improve at this. I've got something to work on. And the other camp of people, who's the thing that happens most often, is the person either wants to give up because they have a false sense of expectation about what they're supposed to do. They blame the workouts, they blame other things, everything besides themselves. Yeah, so those are the two right there. And, my suggestion here is that, that thought is a very negative thought. When you come into something and you haven't done it in a long time, it doesn't service you to think that you're going to be good at it. You've got to walk in and have some sense of humility. Let's say that you start a new career and it's in a field that you are not accustomed to. So maybe you were a construction worker and all of a sudden you're going to work in an office. And you have never worked in an office. There's going to be a learning curve. You're going to have to learn how to use a computer a little bit more effectively or whatever tasks or things, right? You're going to have to feel comfortable in a different environment. And even though the job might be easier, there's still going to be a learning curve. Every step in life has a learning curve, everything that you do. So for you to show up to anything in life and just assume that you should be hitting it out of the field is going to create a false expectation in you, which is going to leave you feeling negative and defeated. And also, it shows that you have a sense of self-aggrandizement and and it's going to create a sense of negativity for you when that expectation is not met. So my recommendation is that people come in to it with something I call barbell humility, and that's something I'll talk about in the future. Let's move on. So all those things are things that you're going to want to work on. Come into things feeling new. Come into working out and improving your life as though you're a student and you're eager to learn, not as a person who's going to come in and just knock it out of the park, because it doesn't work that way. Mom or dad who hasn't worked out in 25 years, you've got to build up. Cut yourself some slack. Don't be so hard on yourself. All right, the next one is other people's thoughts. This is a big one. So, oftentimes when you've been the person who hasn't worked out and you've got friends who haven't been the kinds of people who've taken care of themselves or their health, they're going to question why you're doing what you're doing. So you're going to be like, Rosita, why are you trying to lose weight? I mean, I tried to lose weight and it just didn't work. And they'll put those things in there and, the person might not be doing that to be negative on purpose. But it's like crabs in a bucket. I mean, we're pulling each other down sometimes in the process without realizing it. And your closest friends or family members will oftentimes be the people who do that the most quickly because they feel the most free to tell you how they feel about themselves. And those comments are really more so a reflection of how that person feels about themselves rather than you. And they're trying to inform you about how you could potentially feel because they see themselves in you. Not only that, but sometimes people just want to keep somebody down in the bucket with the rest of the crabs. So my recommendation here is that you try to minimize that in your life. You don't need to necessarily announce on Facebook and to the entire world that you just started working out. Hear this again. You don't need to let all your friends and family members who are potentially struggling with their own health and with their own wellness know everything about what you're doing with your own health and your own wellness. Neither should you expect them to understand that. That's a form of entitlement. So when you explain to people, hey, I'm lifting and I'm doing this, and they don't do that, just know that freedom of speech, you can tell anybody what you want, but they're also free to tell you what they want. And if they don't understand it, they don't need to be on board with you, and they're going to tell you that they don't. So, don't try. What I'm getting at here is that you might encounter some negativity about what you're doing, but you can also not allow that negativity by not really talking about it too much or not really sharing it unless it's somebody who's close to you or understands you, right? That's something that's really important. Now, there are people who are just going to talk it down and talk shit on you. So maybe you are excited about the fact that you're lifting and you do want to post that on Facebook and Instagram and, post it on the world and let everybody know you want to shout it from the mountaintops. Go ahead and do that. But know that not everybody's going to be down with it. I mean, I've had clients who post videos of themselves working out and then someone comes on and says, oh, your form is is bad, or like, oh, like you're looking like a man, or like something really negative, all of which aren't true statements based on my feelings or that client's feelings, but that person is being talked down to, and they start to cast a seed of doubt in you. And really what you want to do is minimize that doubt in your life. So you either tell the person to stop, or maybe you're going to have to cut them out of your life. And I made a separate video about that where I go into depth about why that's so important, and you can watch that. It's on the vlog. I believe it's vlog episode 4. It's called Kick 'Em Out. But you're going to want to focus on being a little bit more positive and having a good outlook on your fitness goals and keeping people in your life who have and share those common values, as opposed to having your own personal negative thoughts and having other people with negative thoughts. You're really going to want to try to be positive, and at the very least, just try your best to look at the bright side of what you're doing, because that will only benefit you. If you focus on the good side, if you focus on the accomplishments that you're having, or if you're focused on becoming a better version of yourself and always looking at the brighter side of it instead of being negative about it or allowing other people to be negative about it, you will achieve your goals in a much more effective fashion than if you're dredging your feet and you're being negative. All that's going to do is slow you down. Having negative people in your life are just going to slow you down. And that's really it. I'm just giving a few thoughts about that. What do you think? Do you think that attitudes are contagious? Do you think that having negative people in your life affects you? I personally do. Maybe you disagree. If you do, leave that down in the comment section below. All right, people, until next time, peace.